A herd of wild sheep is driven into a narrow valley. The only exit is blocked by a barrier made of wood and stones. The herd panics, running into each other. One ram with twisted horns, the largest of the herd, stands out. It steps back and charges the barrier with all its strength. Repeats the charge, determined to break the obstacle. From the high cliff above, a group of primitive humans watches. The strongest male of the group does not look at the herd. He only focuses on the actions of the twisted horn ram. The leading male moves. He climbs down the cliff along a narrow path. He stops to retrieve a bundle of dry grass hidden in a rock crevice. He carries no sharp spear, only a round-headed wooden stick. When he enters the valley, the herd scatters in fear. Only the twisted horn ram remains. It growls, staring straight at the stranger. Primitive man steps inside the barrier and throws the bundle of grass onto the ground. The ram ignores the grass. It charges directly at the man. The male dodges in time, but its horn tears his animal skin garment. The animal prepares to charge again. The primitive man strikes the ram with the wooden stick. But the animal continues charging. It knocks the man down, sending the stick flying. The ram rears up, pressing the enemy to the ground with its horns. The man grabs the horns tightly, straining with all his strength. The ram's hooves stomp onto his body. With force, the man twists the animal's head and slams it to the ground. Pins the ram's belly, grips the horns firmly, and roars into its face. The ram gradually submits. The man releases it. The entire herd has been standing still, watching. Man throws the grass bundle. This time, the herd begins to eat. Cold wind sweeps into the cave. Inside, a group of primitive humans huddle around a weak fire, smoke billowing thickly. They shiver in old, thin, torn hides. A woman tries to warm a child. The child trembles non-stop, skin pale. mother breathes warm air, rubs, and presses the child against her bare skin. The child stops moving. A man holding a stone spear signals that he will go kill a sheep for a new, thicker hide. The woman shakes her head, looking out into the storm. The woman crawls to the cave entrance. Watching the sheep in the snowstorm. They cluster tightly together, heat rising from them. She sees a sheep rubbing its body against a sharp rock to scratch an itch. When it leaves, a large tuft of wool remains stuck to the rock. The woman runs into the snowstorm, grabs the tuft. An older woman understands and follows. She approaches the herd and plucks a patch of loose wool from the back of a gentle sheep. Two women hurriedly gather wool left on rocks and thorn fences. Two women bring the coarse, dirty tufts of wool back to the cave. The child is barely breathing. The mother rips off the old hide and stuffs wool all over the child's body. Then she wraps the old hide back around, forming a warm cocoon. The child exhales weakly. Its breathing becomes steady, the purple on its lips fading. The child's body heat is now preserved by the wool. The man at the cave entrance slowly lowers his spear. The woman tries to use the leftover wool to patch her own hide. But the loose tufts fall apart and drop to the ground. Months pass, the weather warm. The group rests under the shade. A man is making a new spear. He inserts a sharp flint head into a wooden split. He uses a dried animal sinew to tie the stone head in place. When he pulls the sinew tight to secure the knot, it suddenly snaps. The stone head falls off. Angry, he throws the sinew away. Nearby, a woman tries to use the stored sheep wool to patch a torn hide. But the loose tufts will not stick. They fall apart. Both fail with their materials. The woman stands up and walks around. She picks up the tuft of wool again. Her hands begin rolling and twisting the wool fibers together. She gives a gentle pull, then twists again. The short, loose fibers braid and lock into each other. The fluffy clump disappears, replaced by a rough wool cord. She holds both ends and pulls hard. The cord stretches, very strong, yet does not break. She looks at the pile of wool, then sits down and begins deliberately twisting. Adding more fibers, creating a longer cord. The man has just broken another sinew. The woman hands him the newly twisted wool cord. He brushes it aside, believing wool cannot be used for binding. She persists, pushing the cord into his hand. The man pulls it. The cord does not break. It is strong. He throws the sinew away and uses the wool cord to tie the stone head onto the spear shaft. Thick wool wraps tightly, holding the stone firmly. He strikes the spear hard against a rock. stone does not budge. He looks at the binding, then at the sheep herd. The sheep herd has grown. But grass in the valley is depleted. The primitive group has also grown thinner. They need meat. The leading male signals the hunters. They must cull the herd. The leader focuses on 2 male sheep. One ram is large and aggressive, but its wool is thin and scruffy. The other is smaller, gentle, but has thick, tightly curled wool, the same type used for twisting cord. The young hunters choose the easy target. They spread out, forcing the gentle ram toward the cliff wall. The young hunters prepare to spear the gentle ram. The leader signals them to stop. The 3 hunters hesitate. The leader steps forward and takes a spear. He does not point to the stone head. He points to the wool cord binding the stone. He runs his finger along the cord. Then he points at the good wool ram, repeating the twisting gesture, and shakes his head. Next, he points straight at the aggressive ram with poor wool. He points at the good wool ram again and shakes his head. He points at the bad wool ram and nods. Kill that one. The hunters understand. Hunting the bad wool ram is not easy. It charges at a young hunter. The leader roars, drawing the animal's attention. The ram charges him. The leader blocks the attack with the spear shaft, wrestling the animal back. When its flank is exposed, 2 young hunters rush in and drive their spears deep into its chest. The ram collapses. The leader examines the dead animal, grabbing its coarse, ragged wool. In the distance, the gentle ram with good wool is still alive. They have meat and have preserved the animal with valuable wool. Spring arrives. The sheep multiply. The cries of lambs echo. But one ewe has died giving birth. Her newborn lamb trembles, weak and fragile. It buries itself against its mother's corpse, trying to find milk, but in vain. A woman brings fresh grass, but the lamb does not know how to eat. It is starving to death. At the same time, another ewe is crying loudly. Her lamb has been taken by wolves. Her udder is swollen, stretched tight, painful. She repeatedly kicks her tense udder with her hooves. The woman approaches the suffering ewe. The sheep acts aggressive but is too pained to run. The woman sits down and makes soft, calming sounds. She slowly strokes the ewe, easing its fear. She touches the hot, rock-hard udder. She grasps her teeth, squeezes firmly, pulling downward. A stream of white, warm liquid sprays onto her hand. The ewe exhales and relaxes, its pain eased. The woman stares in shock at the white liquid on her hand. The woman runs to the orphaned lamb. It is barely breathing. She places her milk-covered finger into its mouth. Instantly, the lamb clamps down and begins to suck vigorously. The woman expresses more milk into her palm for it to drink. An older woman has seen everything. Curious, she points at the milk and then at her mouth. The younger woman expresses more milk and offers it to her. The older woman tastes it. Her eyes widen. She drinks more. This is a new food source, obtainable without killing. Years pass. The sheep have changed. Through selection, their wool is now very thick, long, and does not shed. In the scorching heat, the dense wool becomes a trap. The sheep pant heavily, tongues hanging out. They are overheating. The young lamb staggers and collapses, dead. The elderly woman who usually twists yarn has run out of wool material. She approaches a sheep, grabs its wool, and pulls hard. The wool clings tightly to the skin. It does not shed. She cannot gather wool as she once did. The elderly woman observes a ram rubbing its body against a rock ledge. It is a black flintstone with an edge sharp as glass. The sheep rubs hard to ease itching and heat. When it walks away, she notices a patch of wool stuck on the rock. It is not shed wool. It is a cleanly cut piece. On the ram's flank, a shaved strip reveals bare skin. The ram seems to breathe easier. The woman runs back to the cave, to the tool corner. She searches through the tools and picks up the sharpest stone knife, made of black flint, used for butchering. The woman and an elderly man work together. The man wrestles a large ram to the ground, pinning it with his strength. The sheep struggles, believing it will be killed. The woman kneels, her hand trembling around the stone knife. She begins cutting the thick wool. The blade nicks the skin, a thin line of blood appearing. She becomes more careful, cutting only the wool. She tugs hard, and the entire heavy fleece peels off, falling to the ground. The sheep, now bare, shivers, but rises, shakes itself, and breathes in relief. The woman holds the massive fleece in her arms. They look at the sheep, still alive. They prepare to do the same for the next one.